In this video, we'll be covering Chapter 3, Section 3. We're moving on to truth tables for negation, conjunction, and disjunction. If you remember, negation means the opposite. That's like saying not. Conjunction means the joining of two things, which we use the word and. And disjunction means or. So let's look at some of these. Let's start with negation. So here we have a statement P. That statement, remember, it could either be true or it could be false. So if we have the negation, in other words, not P, that means if the statement was true, then the statement's going to be false. If that original statement was false, then the negation of it is going to be true. Okay, let's move on over here. Here we have two statements now. We have a P and we have a Q. Remember, this could be true or this statement can be false. So in this particular case, we have four different ways that this could come out. We can have a true statement for P, a true statement for Q. We can have a true statement for P or a false statement for Q. P could be false while Q is true, or they can both be false. So here we have four different options. Okay? If we use the disjunction, which means the or, we're going to say if one is true or the other is true, then the entire statement, P or Q, if one of them is true, then it's going to be true. If we say P is true but Q is false, the statement is still going to be true. Okay? We can say P is false and Q is true. It's still going to be true. And here we're going to say they're both false. Then here this is going to be false too, because here we want one or the other to be true. When we're looking at the conjunction, the and, we need both of these statements to be true. So here we have P is true, Q is true, then this statement will be true as well. True, false, that's going to be a false statement. False, true, that will be false. And here we have both of them saying false, so this is obviously going to be false as well. For those of you who are parents who like this explanation, let's say a kid wants to do something and they need to get the permission of the parents. In this particular case, we're going to let P mean the mom, and we'll say the Q is the dad. So true will stand for yes, false will say no. And let's say that either the mom or the dad have to say yes in order for that to be true. Okay? So the kid goes and asks the mom, and the mom says, yes, go ahead and you have my permission. They go and ask the dad, and the dad says yes. Well, if you have that or, mom or dad says yes, then it's true. Okay? If the mom says yes and the dad says no, well, if it's one or the other, then they can do it. Okay? If the mom says no and the dad says yes, it's still a true statement. They can still do that thing because only one parent has to agree. But if both people say no, then the kid cannot do what he wants. Okay? If in your house the rules are mom and dad have to say yes, then here, if the mom says yes and the dad says yes, then the kid can do it. But if one parent says no, in this case the dad said no, but the mom says yes, and you say both have to agree, then you're not going to be able to do it in this case. Here, the mom said no, but the dad said yes. You can't do it because you need both parents to agree. Of course, if both of them say no, then that is going to be a no for the kid as well. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples here. Here, P is going to be 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. I can say that this is a true statement. Okay, Q, 2 times 7 is not equal to 20, so this is a false statement. We're going to determine the truth value. P and Q. Is this true or is it false? Well, if P is true and Q is false, and we want both of them to be true, then this is going to be a false statement. because we need both of them to agree. Okay. For B, it says P and not Q. Well, P is going to be true and not Q. If Q is false, not Q will be true. So now I have a true and a true, and because both of them agree, this is going to be a true statement. Okay. Part C, not P or Q. Not means, in this case, all I did was bring the not down, and the P was true, or Q was false. So not true is the same thing as false or false. Here's the or statement, and because both of them says no, then this statement here is going to be false as well. Okay. Part D says not P or not Q. So I'm going to bring down the not. P is originally a true statement, so not true means false. Not Q, so not a false statement, that means it's true. So when I have one person saying no and the other person saying yes, and it's an or, so one or the other have to be true, then this entire thing will be true. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this next part. It says, construct a truth table for this statement. You don't have to worry too much about constructing truth tables. I will always provide it for you, or your homework, it provides it for you as well. So in this particular case, we have two statements. We're going to have four different options. We're going to have both of those statements being true, P being true, Q being false, P being false, Q being true, or both of them being false. First thing I'm going to do is start with the parentheses here, and I do P or Q. All I'm doing is worrying about the stuff in the inside. So P or Q, one of these has to be true. One or the other is true. Since I have both of them true, it's a true statement. One of them has to be true, so this is going to be true. Q is true, so this is true. Both of these are false, so they're false. Then when I have this not on the outside, I am taking everything in the parentheses and I'm doing the opposite of it. So all I'm looking at is this particular column, and I'm changing it because it's the not in front. So not true, it's going to be false. The opposite of true, false. The opposite, false. The opposite of false is going to be true. So here's going to be my final decision. Okay. Part 2, here I have P and Q, and then I have not P, which is this first part here. I have a not Q, which is the second part, and right in between I have this and symbol, so I have and here. So you have the same four options. I usually do true, true, false, false, and then alternating true, false, true, false. Okay. So the opposite of P is going to be false. The opposite of P is false. True, true. The opposite of Q, if this is a true statement, this will be false. False statement, this will be true. True, false, false, true. Then when I go to this column, I don't really care about these two. All I want to do is compare these two. I want both of these to be true. I need mom and dad's decision. So if mom says no and dad says no, then this is going to be a no or a false. Okay. No, yes, I don't have both, so this is going to be false. Yes, no, I don't have both, so it's false. Here, they both say yes, so here it is a yes, or in other words, true. Okay. This one here, we have a P and a Q again, so I'm going to start off with my P and Q here. True, 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 false, false, true, or false, false. Notice I have a not P, so that's my first column here. I have a not P or Q, that's going to be this column here. And then I have a not Q, which is going to be put here. I put the entire thing always at the end. So let's go ahead and start with this column. Not P, so the opposite. If this is true, this is going to be false. True, false. False, true, false, true. Okay. Once I have this one done, I can go over to the next one and look, I'm comparing the not P, which is this column, or the Q, which is this column. So I'm only considering these two. I'm not considering this one. And it's an or statement, so it has to be one or the other's approval. So this is a true or false. Since I have approval of one, this is going to be a true statement. False or false, they both said no, so this is no. Here they both said true, so this is going to be a true. And then here I have one saying no, but the other saying yes, and I just need one, so it's going to be true. Okay. The not Q, all I'm going to do is look at my Q column, so I'm not looking at the other two columns, I'm just looking specifically here, and I'm doing the opposite. If this is true, this is going to be false. False, true. True, false, and then false, the opposite of that is true. When you get to this last part, you've already done the work. You don't need to look at the rest. I'm looking only at the column here for this one. And I have the and statement, which means that both of these have to be true in order for this column to be true. I'm looking at both of these columns and they both have to be true. True and false, are they both? No, false. False, true? No, that's a false again. True, false, that's going to be false. And here I have the approval of both because I have that word and, I need mom and dad's permission. And here I have a true and a true statement, so here this one can be true. Okay, let's go ahead and do this next one. Here you can see I have my P and my Q, so I'm having the four same statements here. I'm going to start with the not Q, which is this part here, I wrote it here. Then I'm doing everything in the parentheses, so P and not Q. I also have a not P, so my not P is going to be here, and then I wrote the entire thing as it is at the very end. So these two are going to always be the same. Let's go ahead and start with the not Q. So I'm looking at Q and I'm doing the opposite. True, false, false, true, true, false, false, true. These are the opposite of the statements here. Now I'm going to look at P, which is this one here, and not Q. So I'm not considering this one at all. I'll put my pin there just to kind of hide it. And I'm just looking at these two, and I'm going to say they both need to be true because it has that and. So true, false, that's false because they both need approval. True, true, there we got both approval, so we true, true, we have both people's approval, so this is going to be true. False, false, nope, and false, true, no, because we need both. Okay. Now I'm going to move over to the not P, and all I'm going to do is look at this one, and I'm doing the opposite. If this is true, this will be false, and if this is false, this will be true. Okay. Finally, I'm going to look at this column. Now this column is looking at this particular one here, or this column. So we're not using any of these columns over here. We're just specifically looking at these two. And it has that word or, which means I only need one or the other to be true in order to be able to say yes. Since these two are both false, this is going to be false as well. This one said yes, this one said no, but I need one or the other, so this is going to be true. No, yes, that's true, because I have one person who said yes. False, true, that's going to be true because all I need is one true for this statement to be true. Let's go ahead and construct another truth table. Here we have P and not P. Notice that there's only one variable, so P is the only variable that we're going to be using, and it can be either true or it can be false. If I'm looking at the not P, I'm going to write the opposite. So if this is true, this is going to be false. This is false, this is going to be true. And then I combine both of these. So now I'm looking at both of these, and it has that and, which means that they both need to be true. True, false, I do not have both, so this is false. False, true, again, I do not have both, so this is going to be false as well. On the next example, we're constructing a truth table with the following statements. I study hard, I ace the final, I fail the course. First thing I'm going to do is assign our variable. P will be I study hard, Q, I ace the final, and R, I fail the course. So we're going to start with P. Remember here you're going to put 4 truths, 4 false. Q will be 2 truths, 2 false, 2 truths, 2 false. And then R will be alternating. True, false, true, false, true, false. This gets you the entire number of possible outcomes. Next, let's go ahead and read the actual statement. The statement says, I study hard, comma. That means this is separate from this. And I ace the final, or I fail the course. Okay? So when I write it out, I'm going to use I study hard. That's our P, which is here. Since this is separate, I'm going to go ahead and put the and symbol and then keep the parentheses where the other half of the statement are combined. I ace the final, that's Q, or, there's my symbol, R, I fail the course. Before I can get to here, I use the Q or R in the previous column so that way I can compare. So we'll start with the Q and R. So I'm covering up this one and I'm just looking here. Remember, Q or R means one or the other has to be true in order for it to be a true statement. Here, they're both true, so this is true. One of these is true, so it's still true. The other one is true, so it's true. When they're both say no, it's going to be false. Both say true, it's true. One says true, the other says true, and here they both say false, so it's false. Okay? Now, when we're doing this column, we're only going to compare our P and our Q or R. So I'm going to go ahead and cover up the 2 middle columns here, and all I'm doing is comparing the P and Q or R. Remember, in this case, you need them to both say yes. So true, true, that's going to be true. True, true, that's going to be true. Here we have a true, true, that's true. Here, true, false, so this is going to be a false statement. The and says both of them have to be true. False, true, that's false. False, true, again false. False, true, false, and false, false is false. So now we have all of our possible outcomes in this table. Okay. Part B says, suppose you do not study hard. That means it's the opposite of the P statement. So here I have not P. Here I study hard. Here I do not study hard. So that's not P. You ace the final. That's Q. That's right here. And you fail the course. Well, here it says I fail the course. That's represented by R, so I'm leaving R alone. Is this compound statement true or false? So when we look here and we say I study hard, think about you saying, well, yeah, that was true. So if I study hard is true, not studying hard would be assigned a false. Okay? If I ace the final and that's true, and here it says I ace the final, then that will be a true statement. And then it says I fail the course. Well, R was assigned I fail the course, so that's going to be my true statement. So when you have a truth table like this, you can look for your false, true, true, which is this row right here. Okay? This says it would be a false statement. Okay? So I have false here. Now let's go ahead and look at another example where we'll use it in real life. Okay? This was a survey done that asked people about the distribution of looks in the United States. This was the answer for men, and this was the answer for women. So basically they asked them to put them in what percentage of people look homely, plain, average, good looking, or strikingly attractive. Okay? Here, it says 2% of American women are homely, or more than half are good looking. And it is not true that 5% of American men are strikingly attractive. Okay. First thing we have to do here is go ahead and put these statements into our variables. So here the first one said 2% of American women are homely. 2% of the American women are homely. That's, we're going to assign P. There's our or statement. More than half are good looking. So more than half of American women are good looking, because here we're talking about American women. Okay, there's our comma, so that means these two statements are going to go together with the or in between. Here's our and. This is by itself. This has to be are. It is not true that 5% Americans are strikingly attractive. Because it has that word not, I went ahead and used a little not sign. Okay. So the opposite of that is 5% of men are strikingly attractive. Over here, I went ahead and rewrote this statement using our symbols, right? And now I have to decide if these statements are true or false. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start with P. It says 2% of American women are homely. So when I look at my table, I see that women is in gray, and here we have 2%. Okay? So this is going to be a true statement. Or Q, which says more than half are good looking. So again, when I go and look at good looking and I'm considering the women, I can see that 31% are good looking. That means that this statement here is false. Not more than half of the women are good looking. Okay? And 5% of American men are strikingly attractive. If we look at the men, it's only 2. So this statement is going to be false. So when I say are, here are is going to be false. But remember, our original statement said not. That's why I have the little squiggly line, so I'm going to carry that down. That means the opposite of false. So first thing I did was go ahead and bring all of this down, and then I changed not false means it's true. Now remember, when you have a true or a false and you have that word or, means one or the other has to say yes. So since P is true, this statement is true. And this statement is also true. And when you have the and, it means both of them have to be true. And since both of these are true, that means that the entire statement listed here is actually true. Okay, that concludes the lecture for 3.3. Let me know if you have any questions.